Welcome to another episode of Tangled Rights. I am your host, Justin W. Wilson, Esquire, and my co-host, Shane D. Cox.
What is up?
Where we talk about all things legal and some things not legal. This last week, we kind of went over some weird laws. This week, we're going to get into some different things. We're going to talk about cases that are ongoing, and we're going to give you ideas about how that interfaces with regular criminal court. Obviously, as with all of our episodes, any advice or any information that we give on here is not legal advice, and you are directed to contact whatever realm of law you're dealing with questions on and an attorney in that realm.
All right, Justin, I got one for you today.
All right, what's up?
Okay, this week, I watch golf, right? I am the boring one of us two.
Bro, no, wait. No, hold on. He doesn't just watch golf. This guy comes into my office and he'll be talking to me about things, and he'll just like reach down with his imaginary driver and practice his swing as he's just standing in my office talking to me about a case or whatever. So you like golf?
I like golf. All golfers do that.
I don't golf, so it seems strange to me.
It's a frustrating sport, and despite playing for years, I still suck as much as when I started. So
I think Robin Williams has a bit about that, or had a bit about that, about how the reason they call it a stroke is because when you golf, it's so frustrating. You get so angry, you feel like you're going to have a stroke. No, seriously, you can look it up, Austin. Don't just laugh at me.
There's some golf humorists out there.
Yeah.
I think Rodney Dangerfield had a famous one too.
Oh, okay.
But hey, back to my story.
Hey,
and it has to do with criminal law.
Okay.
So there are 4 major golf tournaments in a year. Okay.
Okay.
You know nothing about golf, right?
I mean, excluding the game itself, I know how it's played, but the tournaments, I don't know anything. I know you're supposed to do this when they do good. It's like golf clapping. Because you're not supposed to actually show enjoyment when they do well or whatever.
No fun allowed.
No fun.
Okay.
And you have to play it where it lies.
Happy
Even
Gilmore.
if it's off of Igor's foot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
All right.
I know. Trust me.
4 biggest tournaments of a year.
Okay.
One of which is called the PGA Championship.
All right.
Okay. This rotates where it's played.
Okay.
So this year it was played in Louisville, Kentucky, at a golf course called Valhalla Golf Club.
Ooh,
cool
like
name,
that.
right?
Yeah.
For context, this has not been played at this site in 10 years. So
it's kind of like the Olympics. It goes in random places. It can come back eventually.
PGA Championship rotates. US Open rotates.
Okay.
One of them is always at the same golf course, the Masters. It's always played at Augusta National in Augusta, Georgia.
Okay, cool.
I tell you that because it doesn't happen that often. So kind of their prerequisites, their preparation, maybe they're not as prepared for parking. And parking is what becomes an issue here.
So logistically speaking, the towns probably aren't ready for, how many fans are coming to these things?
Tens of thousands. There's thousands, yes, because you can have each hole 1 through 18.
But tens of thousands, like 100,000?
No,
tens of thousands, like 50,000.
I think probably maybe around 10 to 20,000. You can look it up while I'm talking, okay?
All right.
Number 1 golfer in the world right now is a man by the name of Scottie Scheffler. He's about 27 years old. He's been the number 1 ranked golfer for a year. He's well known in the golf community. Might be, getting good Tiger Woods level, probably not, but right now, kind of a successor to Tiger Woods, maybe.
Okay.
He's likable. He's kind of nerdy. He's just kind of seems boring, but he's well liked amongst the fans of golf.
Okay.
He's going into the course on a Friday morning. Golf tournaments are usually 4 days. So he's been there. He played the first round on Thursday. He's going in Friday. That morning, however, there is a shuttle to taking fans to the golf course. A shuttle had ran over somebody and killed them.
Jesus.
So,
but they stayed. The shuttle did.
The shuttle was still there. Yes.
Okay. Is this because the person, it was on the way to the course and like all the people were around, or is there something else?
Presumably, but this doesn't, not to do with this story.
Irrelevant.
But it's just kind of chaotic. So there's the normal police presence there that's kind of dictating everything, but there's a different police presence here on the second day of the tournament. Scottie Scheffler, the number one golfer in the world, is coming and he's passing traffic like he had done on other days to get to the golf course because the players get to park right at the golf course.
Sure. Privileges.
A cop that is there responding to this death sees him and takes offense to him passing traffic, getting up on the median and yells at him.
But he had done this exact same thing before, the exact same way on the median and everything.
And all the other players in the tournament said they did the same exact thing.
Okay.
Cop gets upset, yells at him. He jumps on the car to attach himself to the car.
The cop does. Smart.
Scottie Scheffler keeps driving for what's reported as 10 to 20 yards, comes to a stop. Cop is irate, hits him, throws him against the car, arrests him. Okay. Scottie Scheffler is now charged with battery on a police officer, a felony, and other counts, reckless driving, some other misdemeanor stuff. But he's facing a felony charge. He gets processed that morning. He has a tee time later. They hold it back a little bit for him.
Okay. But that's PGA. That has nothing to do with the charges themselves.
No. He gets out, shoots a great round that day.
Okay.
Amazing round. He's not in contention. The next day, Saturday, maybe he fell off. Maybe some of the emotions the next day he doesn't do as well. Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday, Sunday, great round. Saturday, not a great round. Not in contention. He finishes 20th or whatever. And he walked away with $500,000. Whereas the winner gets $3.3 million. So he has a pretty good round. Okay.
This is like a law school exam fact pattern, bro. Like this is ridiculous.
It is. I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
So he's charged with a felony.
Right.
Okay. His arraignment. Well, first off, what's an arraignment, Justin?
So arraignment is the first appearance where the criminal defendant will plead not guilty, guilty, whatever. Typically what will happen is you will have an initial appearance that occurs before the arraignment where you get a bail set and then they set you for initial appearance. And then oftentimes at that hearing, at least here and in Kansas, they'll assign the public defender. They'll say, hey, can you afford an attorney? All this sort of stuff. So arraignment is your first appearance, but it's oftentimes not your literal first appearance. But it's just the first appearance once criminal complaint has been filed and charges are proceeding through the process, especially if you're talking felony charges.
Okay. So he finishes the tournament, he leaves, and his arraignment was scheduled to be this week. There.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay, so his arraignment was this week.
So there's a fight though. There's a fight that came up on social media for, us golf diehards.
Sure.
And crossover with criminal defense law in this the Commonwealth of Kentucky, because it's not a state.
Right. It's like Virginia. It's Commonwealth.
It's a Commonwealth. They require in-person presence for arraignments for felonies. Okay.
Yeah.
And he was willing to come back, but schedules, he wanted to push it to a certain date. So the prosecutor is on video and he's just arguing about having to not move it.
Right.
Okay. Does not want to move it. So my question for you is, how common is it to have a criminal defendant have to appear at their arraignment?
Well, it depends. So for me, whenever I have a client, whether it be, let me back up. There's two ways I get my clients, right? They're either private clients or they're track clients. Track clients are the ones that were assigned, we talked about earlier. It's kind of like a surrogate public defender. In those cases, they've already had someone appear at the first appearance. And unless I'm in court when I'm assigned, I don't know that I'm getting them until it's after the fact. So at that point, they will have somebody appear for them. However, if it's a private client, in a situation where they have not retained counsel. So let's say somebody is not able to be afforded the opportunity of a public defender. They make too much money. They have too many assets, whatever. They haven't had an opportunity to hire counsel at that point. Oftentimes they will have to appear by themselves, but the arraignment doesn't actually go through. What they do is they status check it, which is literally just exactly what it sounds like. You push the hearing out X number of days. Typically it's 30 or 60 days for the purposes of finding counsel. So it is possible for someone to have that first appearance without having an attorney. but it's generally just the gap between when they are charged and when they get an attorney. It's not for anything substantive.
So we have the benefit here of an attorney can appear on behalf of a criminal defendant, right?
That was the next thing I was going to say. 9 times out of 10, unless it's directed to for them to appear, which it usually isn't, then I will tell my defendants not to show up for a litany of reasons.
And it saves them time hiring an attorney.
Saves them time, and that's also part of what they're doing. It's the reason they hire me.
So in this instance, in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, you have to appear personally unless you file some sort of motion, but Scottie's willing to appear in person. They just wanted to move it back. Prosecutor fought it for 15 minutes and just looked like an idiot. All the comments coming in are slamming the Commonwealth and the DA for even trying to pursue this. One point I want you to know about is body-worn camera footage for the cop, not turned on at the time of the arrest. Not turned on at the time of the events.
At all.
At all.
It was on and it went off.
All the mayor is saying is wasn't on, is what I've heard. Not on.
That seems strange.
So a question, and I saw a comment that maybe reached a little too far that said, anytime a body-worn camera footage is not on, you should have to dismiss those charges.
I don't know if I agree with that. Yeah, as a defense attorney, of course. Yes, please dismiss every case when the body-worn camera is not turned on. But the way that it works, a lot of them, they have this little box that's here or here, and they've either got a slide that they have to flip up or there's a button they have to push. So let's say in this example, and forgive me, I'm trying to run through hypotheticals with what you just told me. This cop standing there directing traffic, but he's not involved in an interaction that he believes to have evidentiary value, meaning it's not going to shake out to be a criminal involvement. It's just him telling people, hey, stop, go, whatever. And he doesn't think that something's going to happen, and then something pops off and he doesn't have time. Cars coming, I need to protect the people. Am I going to take the time? I know it's only a second, but I'm having to divert my attention to have to flip on a camera, or am I going to just deal with what's in front of me? Where's the reasonableness factor there, right? Should we make officers divert their attention when a second can matter?
Right. And I guess this goes into, we know people who've been victim of crimes, right? Victims of crimes. I have a family member that's going through that right now.
Yeah.
And weighing the state's interest in bringing certain people and putting them away. Scottie's people like him, so they want to see this go away.
Right. And I was just going to say, that's probably also part of it is you have somebody who probably shouldn't have been charged or arrested, who's also a very likable person in a situation where they're doing something that people enjoy. A lot of people like golf. So I don't know if there's some bias there on how they would say to treat him versus if it was you. And let's say you were allowed to do that. Today, Shane gets a pass. Cop does the same thing. Do you think that same person would be making comments about how you ought to not, oh, didn't have body cam, dismiss Shane's case, free my boy, he didn't do nothing. No, that's not going to happen. Right.
Okay. So this prompted kind of some thoughts in my mind of, we have clients that come in and they say, well, look at how bad their evidence is. They're just going to dismiss it, right? And we hardly ever see that cases are dismissed just based on, hey, this looks like they shouldn't have charged you. But, if the cop's word is right, then you're screwed.
Well, the issue is you have to factor in what sorts of things are evidence, right? Just because the cop's camera wasn't on doesn't mean he wasn't there and can't testify to what he perceived, right? It's still evidence. His evidence is his recollection. Evidence is everything. Now, obviously, a video camera is more objective. It's not subject to the degradation of time. It's not subject to biases. It's not subject to nerves in a situation where you've got a vehicle coming at you and you think say he thought he was, dealing with some kind of a threat or whatever. His adrenaline dump would have happened. He undoubtedly would have been in a different mental state than just, sober light of day, sitting there trying to make a recollection. So, it's still evidence, but you can attack it in a different way, but it's not necessarily that there is no evidence. It's just not as compelling as other evidence would be.
Right. And when they're presented with, hey, my criminal defendant says this versus, hey, the police officer says this, who are they going to side with?
Depends. It always depends. I mean, take that traffic ticket, for example. Right? We had a traffic ticket that we fought, which not the crime of the century, not the case of the year, but it was just. We did the right thing, right? The gal pulls up to a stop sign, and you know how the line is behind the stop sign, right? A ways back. She pulls up to it, looks both ways, but when she looks one direction, she can't see because there's political campaign billboards in the way. So what does she do? She inches forward while not being into the travel lane that she was supposed to stop for to yield the right of way, looks both directions, and then goes. Police officer coming down the road, sees her, thinks she just ran the light, like stop sign, did a California roll, pulls her over, gives her a ticket. She's dead set that she didn't do it. She's like, no, I absolutely stopped. I inched forward. I came to a complete stop behind the line as the law requires, so on and so forth. What do? We get video from the place. Somebody driving in the direction the cop would have been, and there was a retaining wall that would have obstructed his view, and the political signs are still there. So when we take it to hearing, the judge says it's 50-50. Well, that means he can't believe one over the other because both of their stories are just as likely, but that's not the standard. In this particular instance, the standard is preponderance of the evidence, which is slight or marginal difference, 51% versus 49%. And since it was a 50-50, tie goes to the defendant.
I guess my question is about people expecting, hey, the prosecutor will just dismiss it.
Oh,
you have to go prove your case, right? You have to go fight it. It's not just going to go away because, hey, this is what obviously, I didn't.
So it's never wrong. Obviously, and I'm sorry if my story wasn't on point there.
No,
it just made me think of it. But
it's fine.
It's not obviously, but I'm not taking issue with how you phrase that. But you don't have to prove your case. You do have to fight it because obviously the burden is always on the state. However, when the state is convinced that their version of events is right, sometimes you have to show them why they're wrong, or you have to show them how what they think they can prove, they aren't necessarily going to be able to prove the way that they think they can prove it.
And I'm just making the point, they're going to take the cop's word before they're going to take a criminal defendant's word, right? They're going to believe that. They're going to push that case forward.
90% of the time, yeah.
Unless they're given concrete evidence.
Sure.
In the case of Scottie Scheffler, there's a video that's going to come out that the city is sitting on still that hopefully gets released very soon. No audio that they expect, but there will be video of the incident.
Is it, like a bystander? Somebody had
a business on the other side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So a fixed camera. There are a ton of witnesses, including an ESPN reporter that was there who's kind of siding with the golfer, saying,
I would imagine the whole thing had to have been pretty much completely under video coverage, right?
Well, this is outside of the golf course, but there is a business that there's video that's to be issued.
So the one thing that I think is interesting about that is that tends to happen. You see all these instances where you've got police misconduct or shootings or whatever, and there's an uproar for whatever reason. This is obviously not great, but it's not.
This is a nothing, it pales in comparison
to instances of officers involved shootings or whatever, and whether they're justified or not. But the one thing I always find kind of strange about that is how slow they are, especially in a situation where you've got the public in an uproar about situations that are much worse than this objectively, and they could just release the video, which shows, left or right, and they just sit on it. I don't understand that.
So Louisville police is kind of known for this Breonna Taylor shooting as well.
Yeah, that was the EMT that didn't they just settle out on that?
I
think some of the cops went to jail.
It was a bit back. One of the cops did.
It was years,
and one had a hung jury and ended up
taking a deal.
I'm not positive on that. I didn't look it up, but this is the same Louisville police, yes, involved in that. So,
and weren't there some other issues with that, with how they executed the search warrant?
That was the whole problem, was the search warrant. Yes.
Yeah, they did like a middle of the night no knock raid.
Yes,
yeah.
And it was an ex-boyfriend or boyfriend or something. And
Yeah. And she wasn't even.
she had no involvement whatsoever. Yeah. So, an interesting legal aspect. I mean, at the end of the day, he'll be fine. He has the best criminal defense available to, anyone in the world as a multimillionaire for the Commonwealth of Kentucky. I mean, obviously,
I was
Cox
gonna say,
and
he hasn't
Wilson,
retained me. So what are you talking about?
for if anything happens in
Kidding.
a tournament here in Las Vegas, then
Clearly.
obviously, we're on top of
For all
Scotty's
your
life.
battering police officer needs, call me. Shane, what's your handicap?
A lot of things.
I don't even
Physical.
know what that means.
So it's a normal how good you shoot to par. So if you're average, or it's kind of a calculation, if your best scores are usually about 10 above par, your handicap's 10. So if I go against you and you are a scratch golfer, you have a 0 handicap, I kind of get 10 strokes on you. I haven't ever recorded my handicap. Yeah, he doesn't understand what we're saying.
That's not what we're talking about.
White belt, blue belt, brown belt, purple belt.
That's not it at all. I completely
right.
understand what you're saying. I know how to play sports, Shane. And I know how counting works, at least to 10. I can do that too. Thank you, Marine Corps.
Spinal.
I broke my back. No, but he did actually break his back before that. He got in a motorcycle wreck.
Las Vegas, baby.
Just don't try to interview somebody after they get punched in the face for 6 rounds. You don't expect them to say smart stuff, right? Anyway, one question I have about this. How are they bringing battery against a police officer charges whenever you have a situation? It sounds to me like the cop jumped on his vehicle.
So do you see charges that after the fact don't make any sense?
Occasionally, but not that far off. Because battery is the harmful or offensive contact of another, right? So, but the element to this one would be that you do that to a person who is a protected person. It's probably battery on a protected person, law enforcement, whatever. It could be battery on a police officer, depending upon how the Commonwealth words it. But still, you have to have the intentional contact of another person that's harmful or offensive, who's also a police officer. But if the police officer jumps on my vehicle while I'm driving, then I didn't do anything.
And you have to understand there's different reporting. So this is ESPN reporter that says, okay, the cop jumped on the vehicle. What's the cop's perception though?
I can't imagine he ran me over. Like he drove at me and I had to jump on the vehicle. That's a different story.
And the DA files based on what the cop says, right?
Yeah. I mean, based on the report.
Based on the report,
which should have other evidence too.
Which he created. They should be interviewing other people.
And should. So, okay. So I've had several cases in the last couple of weeks that involved surveillance and officer stories and individual stories, right? So most of the time when Metro, who does a very good job with their investigations, usually, because I don't have these issues, when they are investigating a case and they know that there's surveillance, what they'll do is they will go over to the place and say, hey, do you have surveillance? Yes. Okay. Does it record? Yes. Okay. Was it recording this location at this time? Yes. Show it to me. And then they will either use their body cam or their cell phones, like police issued cell phones,
record it,
and they will record it while they're rewatching it. And then they will take stills and they will put that in the arrest report. That case that I'm working right now that we had prelim on today, it involved stills in the police report. So like, just cut and paste, whatever, pictures from the surveillance, et cetera, et cetera. That way they can say, hey, we saw the surveillance. This is what it showed. Here's a still image of it. And you've got it in your 4-page report. That's a synopsis, which gives you what you need for your charging document.
I don't know what's going on in the Commonwealth.
I don't either.
But
I know that this case doesn't sound good to me and I'd like to defend it.
The truth shall set you free.
Amen.
Video will come out. It might be a situation like the Raiders had in Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri. Devontae Adams, a player who pushed a photographer, ended up dropping charges, even though the Raiders and Chiefs absolutely hate each other. Didn't charge further on Devontae Adams. Was
it during like a reception or coming off the sideline?
It was
or something?
Coming off the field after the game. Raiders lost.
Oh, so he was just upset.
So the photographer kind of darted in front of him. Who knows if he could see him before? Just kind of walking, and he pushed him as he was.
Did he still have his helmet on?
He still had his helmet on. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Easy.
Still had his helmet, but.
Sure.
could be a situation that maybe the normal folks don't get a benefit of, that
But that's the other thing.
they're getting negative press daily from this. So
That's the other thing, is the unfortunate reality of this is you do get, I don't want to call it a two-tiered justice system, but there are differences that occur whenever you're somebody versus a regular person like me.
right.
You know, I'm not a professional golfer, but if I did that, even like I said, even if you were allowed, would you have gotten out that same day? Would you have been able to make your tee time? If you could make bail that fast, sure, maybe, but also maybe not.
And he made bail. He could easily make bail.
Sure, well, good for him. He'll get that money back. That's the way bail works. For those that you don't know, when you get charges, they'll say, "Oh, you have to pay this much money, $10,000." You can either do that with cash or surety. Cash is exactly what it sounds like. You pay $10,000. It goes into the court's fund. Okay. So the money goes into the court's fund. And when you make all your subsequent court appearances, you get your money back. If you don't make your court appearances, then the money is forfeit. Also, sometimes in some instances, the money can be used to pay fines. A surety is when you go through a bail bonds company and you pay them 10, 15%, and the bail bond company then puts the money up for you to get bailed out, but they keep the 10 to 15%. Most people don't have the money to put up a cash bail for however much. They have to use a surety company, and when they do that, that's the way that works. But he probably had the money for cash bail.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting case, and I think that there's a lot of back and forth there. I mean, I wonder if the other thing that I was thinking whenever you were talking about it that made me think of like a law school exam hypo is, does he get to claim some kind of Section 1983 damage because he was arrested if it turns out that the arrest was bogus? I can't speak. And it screwed up his performance. Because you said that the top guy got like what, 3.5, and he only got
3.3. He got 500.
That's a $2.8 million discrepancy. And if you say he's the new Tiger Woods,
I didn't say that. I said he's,
whatever, top tier.
He's the number one golfer for the last year.
Sure. So should he have won that tournament?
Maybe.
Did he win the last one?
He won the Masters, the most recent major tournament.
And isn't the Masters like the golf tournament?
That's kind of renowned as, yes, the golf tournament, but he's only won the Masters twice, has never won a PGA championship before.
Oh, okay.
So there's no guarantee. Golf is so up and down. Any player can have a hot streak and kind of go on a run.
Any given Sunday.
That's why Tiger Woods' run is so insane, is because he was just consistently on the top, whereas golfers is usually up and down, but Tiger Woods was just unprecedented, like the Wayne Gretzky of golf. You get that reference?
The Ray Finkel of golf.
What a kicker. What a kicker.
Laces out.
Dude kicked some great balls. There's one other story that my wife sent me about another golfer who got arrested during a tournament way back in the day. Jack Machine Gun McGurn was one of Chicago mobster Al Capone's henchmen.
Okay.
And also was a pretty good golfer. He entered the 1933 Western Open under an assumed name and shot 83 in the first round. Police figured out who he was and planned to arrest him on the course. According to some history, they had just passed a law to treat individuals associated with crime as vagrants unless they could show legitimate income. At the time, McGurn headed up a bookmaking operation. McGurn was 1 under when officers approached him on the 7th green to make the arrest. 1 under par.
Yeah.
So that's really good.
Yeah, he's doing great.
But McGurn asked if they would let him finish his round, and they agreed. The encounter must have rattled McGurn because he finished with an 86, which is probably 14 over par, and then was ushered to the Hooskow. Hooskow, what is that word? Guess in jail?
I have no idea.
Hooskow. Maybe
paddy wagon? It's like the thing that they put you in.
Hooskow.
See, copper?
Too bad I didn't.
I did that.
Prison. Hooskow means a prison.
A prison, okay.
That's a real word.
But you don't go to prison when you get arrested. You go to jail.
Hey, that's
Whatever.
Just... Instagram articles are always true.
Obviously, everything that you read on the internet is 86% true. Quote Abraham Lincoln.
Accurate. All right. I think we talked enough about that one golf story.
Yeah, golf's good.
Our next topic that we wanted to talk about was people who represent themselves.
Oh,
Pro se litigants, pro per litigants.
I got a good one for this.
We all have stories we see. This morning I was in court. That's why I'm suited up looking nice today. A guy representing himself, getting in trouble with the local judge. She's threatening that she's going to hold him in contempt because he's not standing by a settlement agreement. People representing themselves seem to get in trouble and don't understand the rules quite as good.
But people who represent themselves also get a lot of grace from the court. I've seen situations where people who are pro se get a lot of leeway, where even a baby attorney who essentially knows the same as a pro se litigant, let's be real. Like if you graduate from law school, pass the bar, and on your first day you pick up a client, you just hang a shingle and pick up a client and walk into the courtroom, you might as well be a pro se litigant. Let's say you took some trial advocacy classes. Okay, you know how to do a direct examination. Excellent. Do you know how to
check in with the
clerk? Do you know how to do an appearance? Do you know how to put your name on the record? Do you know to do all those things? No, not a chance. So it doesn't matter. Once you get that number, 14646, by the way, in the state of Nevada, 28099 in Kansas, they don't care anymore.
Every time you got to do that, huh?
They don't care anymore. So yes, right, you do have to follow the rules, and I'm sure that the court gets a little bit irritated at belligerence at some point, especially once they've explained something a bunch of times. But I have seen a lot of people get a lot of liberties that I would never have gotten, did never get, even as a fresh baby attorney. And I'm not even like, that seasoned.
I think one of the most fun things you can do is to go into small claims court and just watch people represent themselves and talk about things as an attorney, you're thinking, wow, you're getting nowhere with this judge. Like, then they ask you questions and then they just talk about what they want to talk about instead of answering questions from the judge.
Well, that's also the benefit that we get from your early education on through when you get into court, is you learn how to be asked a question and direct your answer back into what you want to actually talk about. Additionally, the one thing that I do find really interesting about pro se litigants, because you see people out in regular life and they can read the room, right? Like you're telling a joke or you're telling a story, and let's say you're in the wrong crowd and it's not landing and the room starts to get heavy. People can pick that up and they generally stop talking, or they'll change the subject and talk about something that everybody wants to talk about. In court, they don't care. Like the judge and everybody in there is biting their lips, just like, please shut up. And they're just like digging the hole. I don't get it, because I know that some of these people are just having a bad day. I get it. They're doing something that sucks and they are uncomfortable, but they cannot just pick up on the body language of the judge who's sitting there like, wrap it up, dog. That's what they're saying with their eyes. And that's the part that's the wildest to me.
Maybe it goes back to my criminal thing I was talking about before, where people think, hey, we're going to get these answers now. I'm proving my case now.
Right.
Pro se litigants get in there and they're just, hey, we're trying to set when trial is. And they say, well, Your Honor, they owe me money. They have to pay now. It's like,
right. Yeah.
No, that's not how this works.
Right.
We're just setting a date when we have trial. When are you free? Well, they owe me this money. I need the money now.
JG.
And
cut that out, please.
We're on one today. Started last night. You were on one now.
Oh man, I was so pissed.
Continuing
anyway. Yeah. So I think that's the thing, is the people that don't do it. That's one of the pitfalls of this, is you don't understand that procedurally you're not there to dispose of the case, whether it be a criminal case or a civil case. That's not what we're here for. We're here for the middle step on the stair set to get to the top, right? And the top step is the one where you're going to dispose of the case, make all your arguments, yada, yada, yada. The same thing happens with criminal defendants. You see it in arraignment all the time, where the judge is just trying to ask them, hey, do you have the funds to hire an attorney, or should we appoint someone to you? Well, Your Honor, actually, the stop was bogus. Blah. And he's like, no. Don't talk about your case. Do not put that on the record. Which, general legal advice, do not speak about your case factually when there is a record being made, because it can and will be used against you later. And you see that stuff all the time.
Criminal defense are asked, do you understand the charges?
Yes, that's it.
That's a common question. Do you understand the charges that you're facing? And not, hey, exactly what facts, am I facing? and they try and question, say, well, I don't understand. Explain it to me. No.
I appear in front of a bunch of very good judges who have been doing it long enough that they are very good at explaining. I'm not saying that you agree with the charges. It's just whether or not you understand what's being said. And the most difficult people who seem to have the most to want to say still typically will say, yes, I understand. Shout out Justice Court 2.
Sacento, baby.
Heck yeah.
That's a good judge right there.
He's great. I love appearing in front of him. He's fair to defendants. He's fair to the prosecution and defense. He keeps us both to task. Whenever somebody's screwing up or whenever you have a baby attorney, he's really nice to him. I like it.
And he keeps the courtroom tight, running.
Yeah.
Running smoothly.
Schedule going great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pro se litigants though. Awesome. Sorry, I got something. The other issue you run into is you don't understand a lot of the procedural rules that can dispose of or not dispose of a case, right? And so you can run into an issue where you get blindsided by something that you don't understand. So that's the real concern, I think. And I had one when I was a prosecutor where the guy wanted to defend himself and the court was real serious about it because in Kansas, there are certain offenses, it's kind of like here, that are non-probationable, but they call them off-grid offenses. This particular offense was cruelty to animals, malicious torture, or killing. It doesn't matter what your record is. Remember how I told you there's the sentencing guidelines? And like if you have no misdemeanors and one misdemeanor, you're guaranteed probation or whatever. It's presumptive probation. Well, the malicious torture or killing statute is an off-grid and it's 30 to 364 days because it's a misdemeanor, but you're guaranteed to go to jail. You have to. There's a minimum amount. They can't deviate. They have to sentence you to jail. Because of that, the judge very strongly advised this guy, hey, don't represent yourself. You shouldn't, blah, blah, blah. But he was adamant. He really wanted to represent himself. And because it was such a kind of a strange case, we gave him an offer. He didn't want it. So he wanted to go to trial. I'll tell you what happened very briefly. The guy moves in, the family moves in next to him. It's a mom, dad, a couple kids. They've got a couple little dogs, like a weenie dog and a boxer. Well, from the outset, very friendly with each other. And then all of a sudden the family starts noticing some strange stuff. The guy's like standing out there in the middle of the night, 2 a.m, spraying the dogs with a hose. Dogs are always barking at him. He's always just being kind of a jerk and the relationship deteriorates. Fast forward one day, the mom's home and the son is home, but the daughter and the dad are gone. Guy lets the dog out, opens the pen, boxer gets out and he shoots it broadside. And this is in the middle of a neighborhood, right? He just shoots it. The dog manages to make it back into the yard when it dies. His story is dog gets out, lunges at him, and he shoots the dog, right? Obviously, this is not a good case. The family's breathing down my neck. We gave a fair offer, but unfortunately it involved jail time because, you had a situation where A, you shot someone's dog, didn't match up with his description.
Right.
B, you're discharging a firearm in an area where, the only reason that nobody got hurt is because he was lucky. Like if he was unlucky, that bullet goes through the dog and hits the kid.
Right.
Or whatever. So he wanted to represent himself pro se, but what they did is they appointed him
standby counsel.
Yeah. And they appointed another attorney who was on basically the track list there to be his standby.
To jump in
when he needs to. Standby is just somebody who's there as your tag team. They'll sometimes make objections for you. They'll do these things, but he went through the trial by himself. And this dude, he was kind of nutty, real smart though. Real smart. He lodged objections the way that they were supposed to be done. He countered objections. There were a couple of times I would ask questions that I know a normal attorney is going to object to,
right,
just to see what happened.
And he would object. Nice.
He objected to hearsay. He correctly.
Nobody knows what hearsay is.
Unless you're a criminal attorney, you have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to hearsay. That's what I always say to civil attorneys. But this dude did it. He never went to law school. He's just a smart, kind of wacky old guy. He was probably in his late 50s, early 60s, big gray beard, like goofy looking dude. But I mean, obviously his story didn't make sense. There was a lot of things that I was able to bring up at the trial, namely that his recitation of the facts is that the dog lunged at him and he shot it. Well, the bullet went through its shoulder, broadside, like you're shooting a deer.
Right.
And it just doesn't make sense unless you're holding the gun sideways, which whatever. So he was convicted. The crazy part about that case is when we went on for sentencing, I asked for, a higher sentence than the minimum. He asked for nothing. The judge gave him 30 days, which is the minimum. So I'm standing there making some argument to the court, and all of a sudden I hear like a commotion out of my right side. And I look over, and the attorney who's sitting with him is the only one at the desk then. And so I kind of turned back and I didn't think anything of it.
Homeboy jumped.
No, worse. Well, not worse, funnier. So I keep making my arguments, and then I hear the bailiffs, they say his name, get out from underneath there, Mr. Smith. His name wasn't Smith, but I'm just going to say it was. Mr. Smith, get up. It's only going to get worse for you. You ever play that game Popcorn on a trampoline where you bring your knees up and you wrap your arms around them and they jump to see if they can?
Yes.
He was underneath defense counsel's desk, all balled up, and they literally grabbed him by his arms and picked him up off the ground, and he stayed in a ball. It was wild. The craziest part about the whole deal is when they took him back, he had body armor on underneath his clothes, like level 4 plates.
What does he think's going to happen?
That's what they asked him. And he was obviously a little off when they asked him, why were you wearing body armor? Oh, I thought you guys were going to shoot me. For what? What are you talking about? It was just a wild case from start to finish. I actually have a video of that, the sentencing, that shows me making the arguments and then him getting under the desk.
Add it to the podcast.
Can we do that?
Yeah, I mean, are you allowed to show that publicly?
I mean, it was a public.
It's a public hearing.
Yeah.
Just send it to me. I'll add it.
One last crazy thing. While he was in jail for his 30 days, he got his Merrill Lynch mail. His wife forwarded it to him.
Sure.
Yeah, he was like a day trader. He had like $500,000 in his account.
I'd love to have $500,000 in my account.
Yeah. I'd love to just be able to do day trading and make enough money that I didn't have to have a real job.
Represent yourself.
Yeah, represent myself and actually understand hearsay. Sorry, that was kind of a long story, but like he did a good job, despite the fact that he obviously didn't understand some things and it was not as good for him as it could have been, but he did a great job. But that is atypical.
I had a story about a pro se litigant, but yours blew mine out of the water.
Tell it.
Now, mine goes back to a small claims case. I had a small claims case and I was sitting waiting for my small claims case. And I heard another small claims case that had to do with a casino. There was an attorney there and he was in-house counsel for the casino. And it was a small claims case and he was so nervous, didn't know what he was saying, was fumbling all over his words. There is a law that you'll love because you love taxes, that if somebody hits a jackpot of a certain amount, when they go to cash out, you have to give your social security number, right?
Anything over $10,000.
Over 10,000, you have to give your social security number. If you don't have one or refuse to give one, the casino holds back a certain amount of money.
Anything over $10,000.
They hold back, I don't know what percentage they hold back, and they give you a percentage. So this guy had won over
$10,000
in the casino. And
the government felt like they won, but they didn't.
well, no, he was suing the casino because they weren't giving him all of the money. His argument was, well, I gave them social security number. They ran that social security number. It wasn't his social security number.
Aha.
He came to court in front of the small claims judge and argued, well, the law just says I have to give them a social security number.
I was just going to say,
not my social security number. So I don't see what's wrong. The judge didn't like that argument.
And then probably tacked a charge on because he admitted to.
Hey, I mean, that would have been another step somewhere else to, tax evasion or whatever the guy is doing, reporting a false social security number.
I guarantee you that there's some kind of impersonation statute.
Right. The casino won and continued to hold that money as far as I knew.
Shocking.
They won that case, but
that's why you don't represent yourself, because an attorney would have said, hey, we can't say that. And I've literally had situations where
you're admitting to a crime.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
You're out of the frying pan into the fire. Granted, it's usually with criminal cases where they're like, oh, I'll just say this. And I'm like, bro, that's a felony and this is a misdemeanor. That's a dumb idea. Could we not? If you want to pay me more, that's fine. But I'm going to get you to sign this little waiver that says, I told you, don't do that. Bad plan. No.
I think we've all seen our pro se litigants. A famous one in town, we have a public official who's being charged with murder of a review journal reporter.
Oh, that
right?
dude who's a lawyer though, right?
Yeah. I went to law school with him.
Can we say that out loud? I mean,
That I went to law school with him? He's being charged with murder?
can we say his name? Like the case name?
Sure. Why not?
Okay, what's the case name?
Robert Tellis.
Versus or Nevada versus Tellis?
The state of Nevada versus Robert Tellis being charged with murder one,
Okay.
as we call it.
Open murder, yeah.
Open murder. I have a story about Robert Tellis that I love to share. Okay.
Let's hear it.
You know those kind of people that they just seem like they're always going to be the leaders, right?
Mhm.
Robert was one of those. Okay. He was the student body president of the law school.
Oh.
So in orientation, when I show up, first day of orientation, President Tellis, he is giving a speech and telling us about how to be proper in law school. And one of the things he advises us is that it would be improper to wear hats in law school.
Inside the building.
Inside the building.
Sure. That's
Which is kind of an old-timey thing. And I was like,
I don't disagree.
all right, sure, whatever, you know.
Okay.
Pretty soon thereafter, law school has parties all the time, right?
Yes. Bar review was my favorite.
So this is a fall party where President Tellis was accused of sexually assaulting another student.
Ugh.
Big accusation, right?
Pretty serious.
So this got onto, there's email listservs for the whole law school where this is going back and forth. People are petitioning to remove him as president. It was a whole big thing in the law school, just going back and forth about this. And I decided, hey, you know what? Maybe it's not that bad if I wear hats to law school. Maybe that's not that unprofessional.
Because at least you're not assaulting anybody.
Allegedly.
I'm guessing he was never charged.
No charges.
Okay.
Nothing really ever happened. And, you know.
Yeah. So we're not talking about whether he did it or not. We're just saying there was an allegation, which is true.
There was definitively an allegation that
And whether
was not pursued.
Whether it was true or not, nobody can tell. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah.
But I wore hats to law school after that. I decided it was okay.
You were unprofessional.
I was unprofessional. Improper. I've never been charged with murder either, though. Yet.
I don't think those things are the same. First off. Second, wearing hats inside a building, it's not right. Some people like to wear hats whenever they're staring into cameras. Wearing glasses and a headset.
Producing podcast shows.
It's my building.
Your building? You're in my house now, he says. Yeah, I mean that's kind of a wild situation, man.
So he had a pretty famous hearing here in town that a lot of attorneys were tuned into, where he was firing his attorney and he wanted to represent himself. That's what made me think of him.
Not a good idea.
The judge laid into him, went into it with him for about an hour or so about why, asking him questions, what he's done in criminal law before that made him think he was ready to represent himself.
Wasn't it just...
So he did civil law, and he was the public administrator, which they just deal with wills, estates that go into probate without any kind of people to give it to. So the state takes over, basically. The state will take your property if you don't.
He's going to represent himself for
and he's burned through a few attorneys. I think he's got standby counsel.
Is he still in custody?
He's still in custody. He's awaiting trial.
Does he have...
I think he might have hired Draskevich. You mentioned Draskevich.
Draskevich is a good
I
attorney.
know he was involved at some point. I don't know if he is now, but he's gone through a few attorneys.
Yeah, well, the kind of people that usually end up trying to do that are obstinate. They don't want to listen to reality. They think they can do it better. And, maybe he can. Who knows?
Maybe he can win this case. We've never heard all of the evidence.
I don't know anything. I mean, I just know that supposedly he killed a reporter.
Yeah, what's been put in the news is definitely looking negative for his side.
It always does, though.
He
always looks bad.
There's stuff found in his home that is shown on camera in the area.
Sure.
Some clothing items that look pretty similar.
But I mean, it's not always that way, right? Like think about that case we just had where the allegation was DUI death for the RTC driver.
Right.
But she didn't have, she was sober as a judge, as they say. And they charged her with DUI death. Turns out they were wrong. The media blasted her. I was actually in lower level arraignments on another case the day that she got arraigned, oddly enough.
And we happened to get that case
and then
later.
we happened to get the case later. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Got a good result for her. Misdemeanor. No jail time.
And a family without a son.
Which is unfortunate. She feels terrible. But the situation itself doesn't rise to the level that the state had it charged. And that's the issue, right? Like they have it charged with DUI death, but she wasn't DUI, so she didn't meet one of the elements.
Right.
Okay.
We got off topic there.
We did. Pro se litigants, not a good idea. If you want to, it's your right. You're well within your rights to do it, but 10 out of 10, criminal, civil, probate, whatever, I would advise not doing it for a number of reasons.
I don't do probate because I don't know what's going on. I'd hire somebody for that.
That's the thing. Like most attorneys will say, even in a family law situation or whatever, you should not represent your relative just because you can. Not a good idea. So one of the other things we wanted to talk about was some weird patents. So I found a list, and this has got patent numbers. And for those of you out there that don't know, when you apply for a patent, they give it a number. And then they go through the patent process and it either is patented or not. But either way, the number is kind of like a fingerprint to identify when you apply for that. So I think my favorite on the list that I sent you was number 4.
Rodent blaster.
The rodent blaster, yes. Patent 269,766. And it gives a little picture, but then also a description. It says the device contained a firearm that could be aimed at the opening of an animal burrow. When the animal emerged, the gun would fire, supposedly killing the animal.
Here, Austin, you see that picture? Yeah. Thanks for showing it, Austin.
Can't pull it up on there, but I have it.
You will. You will.
You can put it up. I can turn it around.
Yeah, I can
Okay.
put it in.
All right,
I just
cool.
saw it.
So
Austin can put it in.
interesting thing here. There are actually certain calibers that do have like rodent shot. So you've heard of bird shot and a shotgun, right?
Sure.
Well, they have 22 rounds that have rat shot. And that's literally what it's for. It's so that if you're inside and you need to shoot a rat.
It's a little bearings.
No, it's little bitty tiny BBs, like little bitty tiny things. And it works the same way. The only issue with it is it'll chew up the inside of your barrel. Because shotguns are designed to shoot that sort of stuff.
Sure.
A 22 or something that has rifling on the inside of it to give the bullet the spin that it needs for the ballistics to work properly. That'll just destroy the inside of your barrel. I've never used it. I had some when I was a kid, like in a box, but kind of a neat idea. There's a mouse in my house. Shoot him in the face. He will stop being in my house.
There's a mouse in my house.
Shoot him in the face.
It's like a bad kid's movie.
Oh my God. Give a mouse a handgun and he'll stop coming back.
What about patent number 10?
All right, let me see. Let me get down to it.
Number 6,637,447. It's annoying when the sun warms up your beer. Enter Beerbrella. That's why there's a patent for Beerbrella, an umbrella that attaches to a bottle to shield it from the sun. It also keeps out the rain.
Before I read this, that's actually what I thought it was. I was like, oh, it's raining really hard and you have to drink outside and you don't have your own umbrella. So let's... Okay, a couple of things. One, this is just a koozie with extra steps that's much less convenient. 2, if I want to drink my beer, it looks like I'm going to have to move the umbrella. Maybe it bends or something, or it twists.
That's in V2. Version 2.
Oh, okay.
The bend isn't. Yeah.
That's a dumb one.
This article sucks. Who sent this?
Me. So let's see. An alarming wake-up call. Number 6. 256,265. It's a solution for those of you who are used to your alarm clock sound that you no longer hear it. It involves hanging a lightweight frame over your head at night. It's attached by a cord to an automatic release, so it falls on you when the alarm goes off. The inventor is careful to note the frame should be light enough to, quote, awaken the sleeper, but not heavy enough to cause pain. And it basically shows like a series of little wooden blocks that are above the sleeper and it just drops on your face.
And this is from 1882 is what I'm seeing. That's crazy.
How wild is it that in 1882 people were so used to an alarm clock that they couldn't wake up? Because isn't that those like old clock ones with the two bells on it? It would be like that really annoying ringing sound. Nope, hit him in the face with a piece of wood. That's what we're gonna do to wake him up. Time to get up, Shane.
All right, I found another one from 1982, which I love and I personally need, and Austin does not need at all, an anti-eating face mask. When you're exposed to food all day, like chefs, cooks, restaurant personnel, or the like, it's a mask you can put on your face so you can still talk, you can still breathe, but the temptation of food or smoking just stays away. I need that. There's the photo, Austin.
Let me see.
Hannibal Lecter.
Nice. Are the lambs screaming, Clarice? This is a good one from that same article that you hate. Pierced glasses. It's essentially a mid-brow piercing, right? But you put your glasses on it. And so you get your mid-brow pierced and then the glasses just clip to it. Patent 7,066,592.
Oh, I didn't understand that one.
Well, it was complicated.
Then it doesn't have to hurt your ears. Do you ever get that pain when it's,
I don't know. I don't wear glasses because my eyes work like normal.
You wear your sunglasses all the time.
I do, and they're not uncomfortable. These are Roca sunglasses, dog.
Sponsor.
Please sponsor us. But they're so comfortable and durable. Delightful. This one, it says losing eyeglasses is frustrating, but that problem ends when the lenses are pierced to the bridge of your nose. It might be painful, but you'll always know where your glasses are.
So dumb.
It is. It is pretty silly.
All right, let's just move to our listener question so we can.
This one's going to take a while anyway. So.
Dear Tangled Rights, if a judge had to rule on whether pineapple belongs on pizza, how would you argue the case? And who would you call as an expert witness?
Do you want me to answer first?
Well, I think we should pick sides and say who's for pineapple and who's against. And we'll both give closing arguments.
How do you feel about it? I think you know that I'm for pineapple on pizza.
It's, I used to live in Hawaii. My dad was in the Air Force. We were stationed there 5 years. So Hawaiian pizza, we just call pizza, right? I'm just kidding. I like pineapple on pizza. I have some friends from New York who would cuss me out about that.
My tattoo artist, shout out at Kip Jones who. What did he call me? Because I like pineapple on pizza. Water trash. He called me water trash. Like the accumulation of stuff in the gutter, like paper towels and cigarette butts and stuff. It was like one of the first times I was in there getting tattooed. And I was like, hey man, is it cool if I get a pizza delivery? He's like, oh, no problem. Cause you're in there for 10, 12 hours, you need some carbs. And I ordered Pizza Hut stuffed crust with, it's the same thing I always get from there, which is usually the only place I eat pizza. Stuffed crust, pineapple, grilled chicken, and Roma tomatoes. And he looked at me the most disgusted of anybody I've ever had look at me about the food that I'm eating.
It's tough because what we eat here in Las Vegas isn't traditional New York pizza. A traditional New York place won't put pineapple on your pizza, but that's not where you're going when you're getting Pizza Hut. No, I'm going to that place on Tropicana. It's like eating your favorite place, Roberts. Like that's not real Mexican food.
Okay, first off, Roberts, aka Roberto's, is made with love and real ingredients. I don't care if it's 3 a.m. or, time for 5 o'clock dinner. That food is so good and those people are so friendly and they have jarritos and I love it. It's so good. So you can crap on Roberto's all you want.
I'm just saying there's authentic food. Like there's authentic pizza. If I'm in New York,
What does authentic mean? Does it mean it's a real pizza? Because Pizza Hut is a real pizza. Just like Roberto's is a real California burrito. Delicious.
No pico de gallo because it's spicy though, right?
Pico is spicy, bro. Don't at me with that, all right? Give me a break. Okay. Anyway.
All right. Does it belong on pizza is the question.
Austin's shaking his head no. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Cultural appropriation.
What?
I don't know. That's just
please edit that.
Yeah. we like to have fun here.
We do enjoy ourselves.
We like to have fun amongst our time of representing the people that need help.
That's true. And when we're just hanging out, not doing anything but talking about it.
But I will put pineapple on pizza personally.
Oh, yeah.
Because I like it. If you'd have to hire an expert witness is the second part of this question.
Oh, I've got the answer to that question.
Who would that be? Who's the expert on eating, on making
Guy
pizza?
Fieri. He's the mayor of Flavortown. What are you talking about? Obviously.
Wow. Local legend, Guy Fieri.
Yeah. He knows.
Graduate of UNLV.
Is he actually?
Yeah.
Oh, I literally had no idea. I just knew that he's the mayor of Flavortown and that pineapple on pizza is flavoricious.
He is a big UNLV fan.
Is that a word? Flavoricious? I don't know. It is today. Great. I do what I want.
Take me to Flavortown. Well, how does Guy feel about pineapple on pizza? Do you know? Do you call him? You're friends, right?
Today I am, for the purposes of this hypothetical where I'm making things up. Please nobody sue me. He feels a couple of ways, right? He feels that the pineapple can obviously complement other flavors. The citrus flavor works in conjunction with marinara and cheese to bring out the flavor of both. Additionally, it's everybody's individual right to choose what they want on a pizza, Your Honor. And moreover, the Constitution affords us the opportunity for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And how are you going to deny somebody a simple pleasure of putting a fruit on top of a baked good to enhance its flavor?
Okay, I didn't look this up before. I just looked it up. Supposedly Guy Fieri, in response to Gordon Ramsay saying pineapple does not go on top of pizza. What does Gordon Ramsay know? He's from the UK. They don't know anything about
1776, baby. Don't know nothing over here. What's up? What did he say?
I've heard there's some controversy surrounding my favorite pizza topping, pineapple.
Yes! Accidental.
Some people say pineapple doesn't belong on pizza, but they're just party poopers. Pineapple pizza is off the hook. All right.
Flavortown. Yes. Hashtag Flavortown. Let's go. Let's go. That's so good.
Would
I'm
he say that it's off the hook? Could you see Guy Fieri saying?
I could see him saying it's off the hook. Dude, let's go to Flavortown. Dude, I'm ready to go right now. If I wasn't cutting, not like cutting to lose weight, I would go get a pineapple pizza after this with stuffed crust.
So Anthony Bourdain, in response to Guy Fieri, I say this with all sincerity. F you, Guy Fieri. F you and your pineapple effing pizza.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, that's what it says.
What?
I don't know. Quotes? This is a random WordPress article.
The person who passed away.
You just quoted Abraham Lincoln like 30
Yeah, but I made it up. It was about internet stats, bro. It's a joke.
Let's go back. There is a famous Abraham Lincoln quote that says, "A person who represents himself as a fool for a client."
It's true. That is true.
Sometimes some people
Abraham Lincoln had some
him.
great trial verdicts. He was a smart trial attorney.
He would have been taller than everyone, right?
I think with the hat, he was like 9 feet tall, but like his head was like 6'2".
Did he always wear that hat, or at least in my memory?
It was sewed to his head.
Wow. And the guy,
at least until that theater when he got his top blown off.
At the theater, was he just trying to shoot the hat off to see if it would come off?
He was trying to shoot him in the back of the head, and he succeeded.
Okay.
But shout out Abe Lincoln. After getting shot, he lived like 12 hours getting shot point blank range in the back of the head.
Did he really?
He lived for quite a while. He didn't die right away. I mean, it was less than a day, but more than 10 minutes.
You've misquoted things on Abraham Lincoln, so I don't know if I can believe you anymore.
Let's find it.
9 hours.
Boom. Whatever.
Didn't make it 12.
Get out of here. You wouldn't make it 3 minutes.
He was paralyzed and barely breathing. So do we count that as living though?
Yes. He's medically alive. Okay. Back to the pineapple on pizza. Let's hear your anti-pizza argument then, Mr. Pineapple Party Pooper, Anthony Bourdain,
I think
Guy Fieri.
Wow. I did not say any of those things. I think you are the movement. So
Obviously. It's my burden.
You have the burden to prove that pineapple belongs on pizza.
Yeah, and I did that. And now you just brought in expert testimony from Guy Fieri, mayor of Flavortown, to illustrate that pineapple should go on pizza and that people who don't want it there are party poopers.
Local Las Vegas legend.
Kip.
Guy Fieri.
Yeah. And just because Anthony Bourdain wants to resort to expletives and baser insults Oh, sorry. Just because Anthony Bourdain wants to resort to expletives and baser insults doesn't mean that he's right.
Doesn't using swear words just make your argument better?
Obviously. Do you know how hard it was for me not to swear just then?
You haven't sworn at all in their
2 hours.
Our 2 podcasts.
Well, that's because I got a court Justin and then a not court Justin.
And now you're showing off the tats a little bit.
Oh, sorry. But yes.
Kip Jones, who?
Kip Jones. Woo.
Who? Kip Jones.
Yeah. He tattoos at Aged in Oak Tattoo Parlor at Sunset and Pecos. I challenge you to look them up if you're into color realism or just having awesome tattoos.
All right, question. I know what you're going to say to this, and ranch with pizza.
Duh.
Gross.
I'm white trash from Southeast Kansas, bro. Like
a mayonnaise-based.
Is it?
Dip. Yeah.
Is it?
Ranch.
It's a sauce, not a dip. First off, you can put it on anything. When I was a kid, I literally at school, like in the cafeteria.
It's not a sauce. It's a lifestyle.
It is. What's that? Ladies call me ranch because I be dressing. No, whatever. No, but I used to put it on like the little hamburgers they'd give you because there was always a salad bar. So you could get ranch anytime you got cafeteria food, hamburgers, pizza, salad, anything like that. It's delightful.
Midwest food, huh?
Mm-hmm. And kind of spicy, you know, when you think about it. It's got like little bits of like pepper or something in there. That's the little brown spots.
No pico de gallo
None.
on your California burrito
spicy.
at
Too
Robert's,
spicy.
huh?
However, extra cheese.
Do they knock off the price when you take off pico?
No,
Bro.
but they do upcharge you when you add cheese. Dude.
And they have the high quality cheese too.
And the high quality meat that's cooked right then and there. None of this other fast food stuff where it's pre-prepared and garbage. Not that other fast food isn't good, but let's just say that other places don't make their food with love. Okay.
Roberto's, not a sponsor.
No, nobody sponsors us. But hey, I just like stuff and that's okay. And you can like different stuff and that's fine. And that's really what the pineapple and pizza.
You beat me.
That's really what the pineapple
You
and pizza
beat me.
argument comes back to. It's just like, look, dude, who cares? If you want to eat something and it's not illegal or immoral, go for it.
Obviously, Anthony Bourdain, who made his money off going to other countries,
Sure.
you know, and exploring their food, doesn't allow us to, you know, take bread, put some sauce on it, put some fruit on it, pineapple.
Yeah.
A delicious fruit.
And I wonder if that also precludes pineapple from pizzas like a veggie pizza. Because when you're running with a limited amount of toppings, why would you want to limit somebody? And aren't banana peppers like a little tangy?
They're spicy.
Are they actually?
To you,
I don't eat them because the word pepper's in it. I'm not stupid. I'm not falling for that again.
I don't think you could handle banana peppers, but they're not very spicy.
Okay.
They're more acidic because they're,
Okay.
you know,
It's like pickled or something.
it's
right?
pickled. Yeah, it's in
Okay.
vinegar.
Yeah, I don't like pickles either.
Spicy.
No, not spicy. They're just like, this is not great. Bread and butter pickles, like the sweet ones, those are pretty good. They just, like, my thought on food is, does it taste good? And if yes, I'll eat it. If it tastes like crap, if it tastes like crap, I'm not going to eat it.
You'll try anything once,
Most things.
unless you know it's spicy.
Yeah. Or it's going to be bad.
Okay.
Like olives, for example. You don't need to eat them to know that they taste like shit. And I'll
like
say
olives.
it there because I hate olives.
I like
They
olives.
smell so gross.
I can understand people not liking them though.
Yeah.
Well, we got off topic there. We talked somewhat about some legal stuff today.
We talked a lot about legal stuff.
We're still available as your attorney. If you get in trouble like Scottie Scheffler and you are wrongfully arrested, call us, reach out. We're here for you. We can appear for you. You don't even have to come to arraignment.
Or if you're rightfully arrested, but you still need representation to ensure that the state meets their burden and all your rights are protected, we're here for you. Additionally, if you find yourself or a loved one having been injured because of someone else's negligence, we're available for that too.
Yeah, we settled some cases. We settled one today, huh?
We settle cases. We protect people's rights and ensure that negligence is taken care of.
Look at us.
Who would have thought? Not me.
Not me.